lot of corruption, and you can Google me on Facebook and Google and YouTube, whatever. And I'm a citizen of Rankin County. I'm here because I'm highly disturbed of the comments that I heard by Mr. Gaines bragging about the settlement. And the issue I have with that is because the government offered me settlement money, and I didn't take the money because I felt it was unfair what they did to me. And so when there's a offer of $400 million on the table, not on the table, but asking for two men getting assaulted, sexually assaulted, one shot in the mouth, tortured for 2 hours. I'm trying not to break down, man, because I'm trying to keep my composure, but for them to settle and just go out and just take the 2.5 from $400 million, that says a lot. And I'm pretty sure they were just tired and they was ready to get it all over with. But my thing about that was, if you was bold enough to say that in a meeting, what else are y'all talking about behind closed doors? Because I'm a black man in Rankin County. I was born and raised in Jackson. And I was always told, don't cross that line in Rankin County. But I crossed that line in Rankin County. I've been out here 13, 14 years. And I crossed that line, I ain't had no problems. But then to hear about the goon squad, which we already knew it was problems over here with the police department. I'm not saying all the people are bad in the sheriff department. But for this to have been going on for decades and everybody acting like they didn't know about it, it's absurd. And I'm not one person that you can lie to and I'm just gonna forget about it. I don't work like that. So my thing about that is, why is this man still in position? Because if this man can go to a meeting and brag about a 2.5 settlement, $1 million settlement where somebody got shot in the mouth, sexually assaulted, basically raped and waterboarded. These people are locked up in prison. And they tried to cover it up, y'all. That's just as worse as the crime itself. They tried to cover it up, lock these people up. They poured salt in the wounds, had this man handcuffed to the bed while he was shot in the mouth. And y'all gonna sit up here and you tell me you gonna call this man dopest and rapist? You got to be crazy. And I'm trying not to snap in this motherfucker. No, because if he can say what he said, if he can say what he said, I can say what I said.
No obscenities.
Okay, okay, no obscenities. I won't, but for him to say what he said,
Just keep it clean.
okay, but for him to say what he said, that's obscene. And I'm pissed off because he just took a picture with a black lady, a black young lady who's highly decorated. What, did you want to take that picture?
Okay, your time's up.
Oh, my time up now.
Yes, sir.
Anybody gonna answer my question though?
No, sir, this is public comment.
Okay.
That's right. Thank you.
I ain't got no more time, but I'm not finna live in Rankin County with all this stuff going on. Y'all acting
All right,
like,
next we got
oh,
Leon
yeah, okay,
Seals.
Yeah. Treat me like that, yeah.
Leon Seals.
How y'all doing today? I just got one word: accountability. Like, all the citizens get held accountable for anything, any action. I mean, just anything. I could steal a Kit Kat from the gas station and I'm going to jail. Like, but no people in position get held accountable for nothing. Nothing. I'm around here every day trying to get answers. Can't get answers from nobody. Only thing they tell me, what's your number, we'll give you a call back. Never get a call back. I've been waiting on a verdict in Rankin County before Thanksgiving. Can't even get a verdict. Like, if it's guilty, say guilty. If it's not guilty, say not guilty. Like, what's so hard about giving out a verdict? So, with that being said, I think the judge should be held accountable. Police officers should be held accountable. Board of Supervisors members should be held accountable. If all the citizens got to be held accountable. So I don't see what's so hard about that. And like I said, black and white. How is you going against what's in black and white. So that's my main problem, accountability. Like, no one in position being held accountable. How can this judge just sit here and hold my case? What, she gonna hold it for 20 more years? She gonna hold it for 30 more years? What I'm supposed to do, just sit here and sit here and sit here and sit here and come up here every day? I can't even go to work because I'm worrying about this. Every day I wake up worrying about what's next. Is they plotting to kill me? What is they plotting to do? Is they plotting to do me like they did the Goon Squad victims? What's next? I'm ready to get a verdict. If they go be dirty and the verdict be guilty, come on with it. I mean, give me a verdict. That's all I'm asking for. And I ain't gonna sit here and hold the time up.
Thank you.
A.B. Harvey.
Abel Harvey, Pilgrim Rest Baptist Church, and I'm here to officially and respectfully publicly ask Mr. Gaines to resign. As a lifelong resident of Rankin County and a constituent of District 4, it's disheartening and discouraging to see and hear his blatantly offensive, disrespectful comments during the healing process of our county. I totally support our law enforcement and honor their service. We have some great deputies because we all need safety and we need order. For the past few years, however, our county has been under this dark cloud. The initial shock, the utter disgust, and the complete dismay, and the frayed trust with the community through our sheriff's leadership. The Goon Squad is now a household name, not only in Rankin County, but all over the world. And of course, our deputies are sworn to serve and protect everyone. There should be no room for targeting, unfairness, nor profiling. And unfortunately, we've got some good deputies, but the whole is being defined by a few bad players. And just days ago, with the verdict, which a lot of people don't agree with, the settlement, I think it was good because we could start healing. Maybe we just didn't agree with the amount, but at least the process of healing had begun. And then, unfortunately, just a few days later, this short-lived breathing process ended with Steve Gaines, with his audio surfacing of him maligning and being disrespectful again toward the process, and even making Mr. Eddie Parker and Mr. Jenkins look as if they were rapists and dopers. The phrase, beat the pants off those guys, even if alluding to what the lawyer was able to do, is still reprehensible. Calling the guys dopers, labeling those guys as the people that raped your daughters, and then to continue on, referring to the Sheriff Bailey, Mr. Gaines says, we're back. What does that mean? We're back to continue behavior that is reprehensible? And then you're thinking that maybe he would come forth and just say, hey, listen, I was wrong, I'm sorry. Those comments should have never come out of my mouth. That would have been a Christian, ethical, moral thing to do. But instead, Mr. Gaines got up in response to the media and said, I want to be clear that my comments were not aimed at anyone personally, and I did not, quote unquote, name individuals. Well, if that's an apology, Mr. Gaines, or an effort to be dismissive of what is clearly insulting and disgraceful, it has fallen well short. And not only is it short, it's disingenuous. A serious, sincere apology should be made, not only to Mr. Parker and Mr. Jenkins, but to the entire community of Rankin County citizens. And I would also like to know, if you were not referring to Mr. Eddie Parker and Michael Jenkins, who were you referring to? If you're not speaking specifically to the case that the lawyer was involved in, then exactly who is it? Is there another case out here that no one knows about that involves criminal violation of human rights? from our sheriff's department. What exactly, again, does "we are back" mean? Does that mean that we can continue with the free and continued process of taking consequences off the table? One does not have to be to know who these individuals are to know that they were specifically being spoken of by Mr. Gaines. And it is time for our county to heal. That's what we're here for, to begin that healing process and to reconcile the trust needed for a community to be vibrant. And I'm not here to throw rocks or make any derogatory statements, but Rankin County is the best place to live, not only in Mississippi, but in the whole world. I've traveled across the world. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. It's a beautiful community. We have great schools, awesome neighborhoods, well-established churches. This is how I know that the vast majority of people in District 4 do not endorse the comments of Mr. Gaines, nor do they have the views. So I think it's time for new leadership, and I believe it would begin with an honest apology and an honorable resignation by Mr. Gaines. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Michael Ponders.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Michael Pounders. I live in Mr. Bishop's District 5 at 134 Willow Oak Lane. I came here to talk about foreign LLCs today, but I don't want to steal the thunder from these people. I would like to respectfully ask for the entire board, the sheriff, to respectfully resign, have a little bit of honor. I served 8 years in the United States Marine Corps, so I see this stuff happen, and I think these are men with no honor. I tried to get in touch with Mr. Bishop and discuss this, but he doesn't answer his phone and he doesn't return emails. So, well, you never, not on this situation, you've never returned mine. I'd be happy to show you the evidence, sir, if you'd like to look at that. Also, if you'd like to look at the Rankin County tax roll and you'd like to look at who owns property in Rankin County, this county has been bought and sold to foreign entities. There's more Chinese, people in New York, people in California that own property here in Rankin County than real Rankin County residents. And I see none of these foreign LLCs and business names that we have listed that are taking over our communities and destroying them. I see none of them here in this meeting. The only people that I see are people that you have abused and continue to abuse. And your next step is to go out here to Pisgah, where everybody's run into, in Sand Hill and Goshen Springs, and chop that up and give it out to the next group of foreign LLC holders and business developers. Don't do that. There's nothing conservative or Republican about any of that. That's a land grab. This is not a white or a black issue. This is a right or a wrong issue. Rankin County has been bought and sold to foreign people right under our nose, and y'all are the people that were sitting here and letting it happen. Have some honor and step down. You need to step down because you're in law enforcement, and you have adopted, the sheriff has adopted everything that he can from the military gear, the military personnel. They offered me a job when I came back from Afghanistan. The one thing that they didn't adopt was the military code of honor. The captain goes down with the ship. The people that are sitting in the federal penitentiary right now are just the ones that they caught. There are other people that were involved in this widespread tragedy. I lived at 109 Greer Drive in Pearl, Mississippi for 9 years. I was a prisoner in my own home with my 9-year-old son because the goon squad said, oh, we're not going to stop the dope in your community unless you go and make a controlled buy. Yeah, go over here and make a controlled buy with a bunch of fake Simon City Royals and see how that works in a family neighborhood. Why were the Simon City Royals squatting in a house next to me? Because every piece of property at this point in Rankin County probably belongs to a slumlord LLC holder. And some of them are going to get up here and advocate for their position today. Oh, that's my business. Destroying the community. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, that's all we have under public comments. Old business.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Jay made a motion to approve, Steve seconded the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Consent agenda. Has everybody had time to read over the consent agenda?
Yeah, Mr. President, I have a question about, 5M. Is that for our Greenfield Road project, Brad?
I'm trying to get to it.
It's depending on the right of way up there, purchases.
We hadn't started it yet.
Oh, that is a part of your potential bond project. There is one in particular, one piece of one bond project, potential bond project in particular, that relates to a fire station.
Yeah.
Where we're going to have to acquire the property that is the preferred site. And so we need the right-of-way acquisition
So
services.
you don't think we can buy it without it?
I don't think so because of the title issues, Jay. I was intending to address this with you guys later today.
All right.
So this is just positioning us to be able to retain our right-of-way acquisition people in the event we need that. Jay, we're not doing it until the board has taken other steps related to the bond.
I make a motion to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Jay made a motion to approve, Brad seconded the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Miss Stacy McNich, our tax assessor.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
All right, here to request an adjustment of the 24 homestead exemption supplemental roll.
Motion approved. Second.
Brad made a motion, Steve seconded the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item B, requesting a change of assessment on the 24 real property assessments that were attached.
Motion approved.
Second. Jay made a motion, I second the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Mike Harrison, road manager.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Road work accomplished for April, road work scheduled for May.
Motion approved. Second.
Brad made a motion, Steve seconded the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
B, request AT&T permit to construct around Rock Hill Road. Be
Motion
installed.
approved.
Second. Brad made a motion, Steve seconded the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Request AT&T permit to be constructed along Mandy Drive, District 4.
Motion to approve.
I second. Steve made a motion, Jay seconded the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Thank you. Mr. Tim Parker, County Engineer.
Morning.
Morning.
First item we have on the agenda is the Watershed Protection Program, element number 2.02, that's Pine Brook subdivision. Recommend approval of payout number 8 from Southeastern Pipeline and Environmental Services in the amount of $442,612.13 and authority to issue the check. That's a District 2.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
I made a motion, Steve seconded the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item B, Mr. President, is Gunner Road Improvements Phase 2. Recommending approval of pay application number 12 from Hemp Hill Construction Company, Inc. for work on the project in the amount of $100,716.09 and authority to issue the check. That's a District 1.
Hey, is some of that included in the ditch project, some of this price here?
Yes, some of that is the ditch work, which was
Okay,
in the
that they're-
original
that they're
contract.
doing right now?
They're not through with the ditch now, but some of this work would be part of the ditch. Yes.
Okay, well, that's what I want.
Correct.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
I made a motion, Steve seconded the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion
Hey,
carries.
Tim, before you go, and this might be a question, Mike, how we coming on moving our dumpsters, our new site?
We're coming along good. We've got our walls, retaining walls put up, and we've got our pads done. We're just getting the water meter hooked up next week. Give started getting utilities moved in there.
What do we lack?
A little bit of power, we
Is
get
that in the
water.
process?
Sir,
Has it been, do we have an ETA on it?
we just trying to get everything finalized on how we're gonna do it. Mr. Bishop, we gotta get our power in there, and then we gotta run it to our recycle bin.
So what, we're a month out?
I'm gonna say next 30 days, we should be moving on the facility there.
Good deal.
Mr. Slay, or Board Attorney?
Gentlemen, first item under my section, and it'll become clear here in a moment. The first item is item A, to set a public hearing for June 2/25 on the Kenny Dawson conditional use permit, District 1, June 2 at 9 a.m. I'd ask for a motion on that one. Item B, we received word from the applicant that we need to delay the setting of that public hearing, and so that matter is not before the board today to set a public hearing. It'll be brought back before the board at the appropriate time.
Correct.
So item A would be the only one we need to set a public hearing on.
I make a motion.
Second.
Made a motion, Brad seconded the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
We have several public hearings to conduct today. The first will be the Emma Boone conditional use permit. This is at 935 Highway 469 North. It's a District 1 property. I'll open that public hearing. Ms. Boone is requesting a conditional use permit to operate what is called the New Life Counseling, DBA Boone Behavioral Health, on the property of New Hope Missionary Baptist Church at 935 Highway 469 North. The program will offer therapy, education, psychosocial rehabilitation services for children, adolescents, and adults. Services are to be provided by qualified staff to operate Monday through Friday, 8 to 6, with optional weekend sessions. It's a 16.69 acre parcel. It's zoned A1. This use is not outright allowed. It must go through the conditional use process in order to be permitted in zone A1. That public hearing is open. I will ask if there is any opposition in the room to Ms. Boone's request for a conditional use permit. If there is opposition, please step forward. To address the board, please give your name and address. Opposition.
Morning.
Good
Morning.
morning, sir.
Good morning, my name is Willie Johnson. I'm the chairman of Church of New Hope Missionary Baptist Church. And we come in opposition of this request because it's too close to our church building to have such business with, this mental health thing. And we know that what all can occur from this. And from the first of all, none of this from the buying of those trailers up there and all this other never came before the congregation. And the congregation, it will be the last one to know what's going on. And so we are begging you all to not give no permit and no zoning. Because if you do that, a business next to our church is gonna have effect on the church paying taxes. And we are begging you all not to do it because we were not aware of what was going on. All this got set up without the congregation knowing anything about it. And so the congregation is asking, requesting not to grant this because it's not good business to have something like this next to our church building. And you got New Hope Church there, you got Briar Hill Methodist and Baptist right up the road, you see. Because if it's got anything to do with, mental health thing, we know mental health can come from the overuse of alcohol, drugs, and all. And we won't be able to have church without somebody breaking in our cars and things. And so we are asking you, please do not grant it because New Hope Church property belongs to New Hope members. Belong to New Hope members. And we are begging and asking. I got members here with me to back us up on that.
Right.
Nothing ever came before the congregation.
Thank you. If you could, would you stand up? Who's in opposition for? Is there anybody outside?
Oh, just stand and raise
Yeah.
your hand, stand and raise your hand.
Yeah, bring them on in.
New home members, come on around, so they can see us.
Y'all stand up, raise your hand if you can't see your hand. If you can't stand up, you want to stand up.
Right.
We in majority of
Right.
opposing that.
Okay.
Because it wasn't done right at first.
All right. Well,
And so we requesting you all to please, don't put us in that position.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
I wouldn't want to put your church in that position.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If there is anyone else that is in opposition, and this gentleman's statement did not include a statement that you wish to give, you can step forward at this time.
Yes, I love it. When we got the message that this was done, even the person who authorized
Yes, sir, can you
in the name of the church,
Can you give her your name?
Murray Carr, in the name of the that used the church's authorization, he was not authorized to come up and sign for her to make application. And that was one of the church members that did that, and he didn't have authorization from the congregation to come up and sign off so she can make application. So that's one of the things. The members you see here, we total object because we saw some paperwork as if they own the church property. The church owns almost 17 acres of land. My great-granddaddy, granddaddy, and all those old people who bought this property years ago, 164 years ago. And this pastor came in and tried to take claim of the church, the land, and the whole 9 yards. So we oppose all of this. And like Deacon Johnson said, they have never brought anything to the church. He's been there 9.5 years and never had a business meeting, and told us about anything. So please do not rezone the church property. And because this almost 17 acres include the cemetery too.
And he's y'all's pastor.
Why?
And he's y'all's pastor.
He was until Sunday.
Okay.
He's looking for somewhere now. Yeah.
Gentlemen, if I may,
Right.
normally at this point, we would call for additional statements in opposition. Eventually, we would get to the point where we would ask the applicant to step forward and to give justification for the application. But what we've heard is that there is an apparent and obvious dispute within the context of the church, that is the owner of the property, that there was no permission for the application to be executed. I prefer that we end this discussion at this point and that we require the applicant to go back to the drawing board and to secure appropriate written permission from the church, the owner of the property, to actually utilize the property in the manner that she has requested. We need some proof, documented proof, that the owner of the property has actually authorized the use and authorized the filing of the application, and it appears that that is in dispute. I don't think it's appropriate for us to have any further discussion and certainly not to take any action. That would be my recommendation.
So we just tabling this?
No, sir, that we let the records reflect, Jay, that the board is not taking action on the application and that it will await a later application that has the requisite proof that the owner of the property permits this or requests this.
Well, on this application,
Yes, sir.
are you advising us to not, I'm in favor of turning it down.
Yes, sir. If the board would like to end the matter now,
Yep.
at this point,
And then
and
they can
close the
vote.
public hearing and make a finding that, Mr. Gaines, that, a motion that it intends to reject the application, that's fine. I just, my thought process was, we need to state very clearly that the reason that the rejection of the application is, it's obvious that there was no permission given to actually execute the application. Let's just be very specific with that in our minutes.
Okay.
That's my motion.
All right, I'm going to close the public hearing. At this time, Mr. Gaines is making a motion to reject the application on the basis that the application is not proper and there's no proof that there was permission given by the owner of the property to apply for a conditional use for the use that has been put before us.
I second that. Steve made a motion to reject it. I second the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Thank y'all for coming.
That public hearing is closed in the event I did not close it. Mr. President, the next item under my section is item D. This is a public hearing on the Jeffrey Lee Coy conditional use permit request. This is a Trickham Bridge Road property, a District 1?
No, it's
That
not
should be
District
District
1.
4, right?
4.
Yeah.
Yep. District 4, we may need to
Yeah,
wait
give 'em a
just a
few
moment,
minutes.
let these folks. Okay. Gentlemen, that public hearing is open on the Jeffrey Lee Coy conditional use permit request. Mr. Coy is seeking a conditional use permit to place a 2025 16 by 80 manufactured home on a 3.46 acre property that's located on Trickham Bridge Road. This is in Brandon, or near Brandon. The parcel is K113112. It's zoned RE1. It's surrounded by family land. Mr. Coy intends to reside in the manufactured home temporarily while he saves the necessary funds to construct a permanent residence on the same property. So this is a process that has been used somewhat infrequently, where we recognize that individuals who want to construct a permanent dwelling may need a little time to do that, and in the interim, they have property that they can occupy, and so they're asking for permission to temporarily position a manufactured housing unit on the property until such time as the permanent dwelling is constructed, and then the manufactured housing will have to be removed from the property. And so that's not an unusual process. That public hearing is open. We've received no calls in opposition. I'll ask if there is anyone here who wishes to speak in opposition to the Jeffrey Lee Coy conditional use permit request. Is there anyone here to speak in opposition on that matter? Mr. President, I don't see anyone here to speak in opposition on the matter. At this time, unless the board has questions of the applicant, we can deliberate about any conditions that the board wishes to place.
I make a motion, we approve.
Yes, sir. Typical conditions, Steve, would be that there's some reasonable time limitation on how long it is before the permanent dwelling needs to be constructed and completed, and a certificate of occupancy issued by the Office of Community Development. So we would entertain 5 years. All right. And so the condition on the conditional use permit will be that Mr. Coy is required to, within a period of 5 years from the date of the issuance of the permit, he must receive a certificate of occupancy for his permanent dwelling on the property, and the manufactured housing unit that he would be occupying in the interim has to be removed from the property. That would be a condition. Is that your motion, Mr. Gaines?
Yes.
All right.
I'll second.
Steve made a motion. Brad seconded the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item under my section, gentlemen, is and by the way, that public hearing is closed if I didn't close it. The next item is item E, the Tiffany Lindsay conditional use permit, Andrew Chapel Road. This also potential action on this. That public hearing is open. Ms. Lindsay is seeking a conditional use permit to place a new manufactured home on Andrew Chapel Road. This is family-owned land. It's totaling approximately 27.6 acres. Property is zoned RE1. Ms. Lindsay has a serious medical condition, and it has significantly affected her living situation. She suffers from frequent seizures and has developed tumors that are impacting a major artery. She needs to live near her family for support and care while maintaining a degree of independence with her children. The family intends to carve out a 3-acre parcel for this home site out of the larger parcel. We received 2 phone calls from adjoining neighbors that are in favor of Ms. Lindsay's request, and there were no calls received in opposition. That public hearing is open. I will ask if there is anyone here to speak in opposition to the Tiffany Lindsay conditional use permit request. Is there anyone here to speak in opposition on that matter? Yes, sir, District 4. Thank you. Anyone? Okay, gentlemen, unless you have questions of the applicant or comments to make concerning the application itself, it would be appropriate for us to close the public hearing and to take action on it, and then we can address typically how we handle these hardship situations like this.
Make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Steve made a motion, Jay seconded the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Mr. Gaines, is it appropriate if the minutes reflect that the Office of Community Development will monitor this property to determine at some point, it's not determined, but at some point, whether or not the hardship conditions remain, and if not, if those are ameliorated, if they go away, then it would be cognizable for the board to revisit the issue of the hardship. Is that acceptable to reflect those in the permit?
Yes.
Okay. So the minutes will reflect that, the permit will reflect that the Office of Community Development will be responsible just to simply review regularly the condition there and determine whether or not the hardship still exists. All right, that public hearing is closed. The next item, gentlemen, is item F, the Jose Serra rezoning request. This is 3753 Highway 471. A little gun shy. Is it District 2?
This is District 2.
Okay, good. All right. That public hearing is open. Mr. Serra is requesting the rezoning of a 4-acre parcel. It's K15-45-20. It's located on Highway 471 from its current zoning, which is RE1, a residential context, to C2. He intends to develop the property for an office to support the operations of his construction company. While the original request included both an office and a laydown yard, Mr. Serra has formally restricted the laydown yard component. The revised proposal, which is limited to office use, will remain consistent with the surrounding zoning and the commercial character of the area. We have received no calls in opposition to this request. Yes, okay. I'm getting to you. Give me just a second. We've not received any calls in opposition. That doesn't mean that there may not be any opposition. And so at this time, I would ask if there is anyone here who wishes to address the board and speak in opposition to Mr. Serra's request for rezoning of the 4-acre parcel. If you'll please come forward and give your name and address to the board.
Good morning.
My name's J.C. Taylor. I live at 116 Barksdale Road. Been there for 35 years. And just talked with Jose Tuesday morning and about a blowout and washed sand down in my lake. Okay, he said he has no control over it. And until he can control that erosion, because if he's got equipment up there and they leak, got oil spill and it gets down my lake, it's ruined. And so I'm gonna have to say no.
Do they have a silt fence up or?
Yes, but they blow out.
Yep.
Okay, I've been there for 35 years, and it did not happen until he come in there and clear cut it and started moving dirt without the proper silt fence, which he tried later, but it was already too late. It already washed red sand all the way down in my property, which is not much, but it's enough to, every time it comes to rain, it washes down in my lake.
So are you saying you would be okay with it if he
If he can stop
if
the
he fixed the
erosion
issue in the erosion?
If If he can stop the erosion, I will be okay.
Okay.
And we have known each other for a while.
Okay. All right. Yes. Is there anyone else here in the room that wishes to speak in opposition to Mr. Sarah's request? Anyone else to speak in opposition?
Can I speak on my behalf?
Yes, right, in a minute. You're not opposing your own application? All right. Gentlemen, if you wish, I think it would be appropriate to allow Mr. Sarah to address the board and to address Mr. Taylor's concerns.
Yes, sir.
Hello, how you guys doing?
Morning.
Good morning.
He has very good concerns. The concerns that come up aboard is when a heavy rain comes. Silk fence has been present there. We've been cleaning up. But as you look throughout the county, even after 4 days of rain, we see destruction on the sides of the roads and everywhere. I am a repair contractor. We do a lot of storm drain system repairs, drainage repairs, water lines, sewer lines. We see devastation all the time after big rainfall. I do a lot of work for Pearl River Valley Water District, PRV, the reservoir, and I'm always getting called out just after days of rain. They had a major water leak the other day, and that was due to 4 days of rain. And a system blew out because the ground behind it got wet and loose. And that's what contributes to it. If you ask them, does this happen on a regular rainfall? No, it doesn't. Does it happen after 4 days of rain? Yes, it does. And we try to act quickly to get in there. It happened right when we cut the timber down. Right when I cut the timber down, we wasn't even moving dirt. I already got fussed at. He has a natural waterway on his property. He's at the bottom of a hill. And the water's flowing through that property. It flowed for many years. Once the trees got cut down, the pine needles and all the other debris was not there no more to soak up the water, and it slowed it down. But it is not done intentionally. And the silk fence does get cleaned up every time after a big rain when we have our equipment brought over there. Equipment's not staged over there. It's there to go and help us level the land out. But when work comes up and the reservoir calls us, we go right to work, and our equipment's over there. So I attempted to put silk poles before the silk fence to catch all the silk. It's been working properly. Once again, once it rains, a big rain, I'm not given adequate time to go there and clean it up. The best thing I can do for him is there is a silk screen that the buoy, not a buoy, but baffer you put out in the water. If he allows me to put that out in his lake, it will control the silk. The silk will stay on this side. There's no actual sand going in this water. It's just a silk runoff from the water, and it makes it look a little murky. But if we put the screen out there, it would prevent that. And that's what you do most of the time when you're doing drainage ditches or lanes, storm drain pipes into a canal or a river or a lake. And my property's here, 30 feet down the road, 30 feet down there is his lake.
Right.
I mean, it's like that, and it's all natural flow water.
If you could, like I say, just kind of restructure some of your runoff. I mean, I know in hard rain, but with some silt fence, some hay bales, there's different ways to try to control the silt that's coming. To back it up on them hard rains. I know it's gonna happen some, but
it's gonna go over this. It's gonna go over the riffraff. If you have the time to go out there and assess the property, be free to go. It's an actual natural runoff. It's a big runoff.
Do you have intentions of putting any vegetation out?
Huh?
Do you have intention of any vegetation growing?
Yes, my future intent with that property and where that runoff is to control it. We control water very good, but I have to get to that point. We are gonna put a retaining wall up. We are gonna put a catch basin. He has allowed me to go ahead and run a pipe system that will, as long as clean water goes out to his lake, he's allowed to do that. We are working towards that. But the first step is to get permitted. I can't move any further. I can't really do nothing over there. We're just leveling it out. I'm allowed to level it out. I talked to one of your guys before. I forgot his name, but it'll come to me. I'm allowed to level it out, but I can't really do nothing forward until we rezone and figure out what we're gonna do. Somebody reached out to me, talked to me before this meeting came about. First thing they said was, okay, if we get this passed, we have to talk about drainage. So that was already talked about, and we would present a proper drainage plan. I do got friends that are engineers, and they're aboard to help me get this resolved.
Okay.
But it's a time process, but there is silk fence up, proper silk fence, and that's really when big rain, it's only when big rain comes.
Right.
If I may, before Mr. Taylor approaches, again, again, with the permission of the board. It seems to me that we may be mixing some things here. You got before you a rezoning request, and there's a specific list of findings that you make. And so Mr. Taylor has raised the issue that there is an issue between two private property owners concerning water flow on the property. That's not related to the rezoning
I mean, right now,
request.
that's DEQ, I mean, or.
Yeah, and at best, what it is a DEQ matter as it relates to the potential for some sort of stormwater pollution type of assertion, and something that falls in the purview of DEQ to address. So my suggestion would be this, that I think Mr. Taylor may want to address the board again about the drainage issue that you've heard Mr. Sarah explain. What it sounds like to me is that if the board is of a mind to permit the rezoning, then the next step in the process will be the development of the property, which will include a study of the drainage patterns that will have to work back through Mr. Parker. And so I think at some point, if the board moves forward with permitting the rezoning so that Mr. Sarah can move forward with development, you're going to be able to address the stormwater management aspect of this as a part of the review process for the development. So again, narrowly what you're attempting to determine today is, has there been the requisite proof presented in the application that Mr. Sarah is entitled to a rezoning of the property? And typically what we'd like to know is, has there been such a change in the character or the condition of the neighborhood to justify this rezoning, and is there a demonstrated need for this type of zoning in our community? So you've got the condition of the neighborhood being more commercial in nature. My understanding is that the properties surrounding this are commercial.
Yes.
And so it seems to fit with the character and the condition of the neighborhood as it's developed over time. Secondarily to that, we know that especially in our residential areas, there is not very much in the way of commercial property that is available in the more densely populated residential areas. The ones that are closer to highways, major highways, would provide a greater coverage of C2 because that's where your traffic patterns fall. I think by Mr. Sarah agreeing that he would not have outside storage, that's why he took the lay down yard off the list, then you've resolved any issue that I might have brought before the board concerning outside storage in C2. Those things don't go together. And so that's no longer on the table. And so the board has before it information to suggest that Mr. Sarah is entitled to a rezoning. If the board chooses to, in its discretion, to grant that, then I believe that Mr. Taylor's issues can be addressed by Mr. Parker and others who will review a stormwater management plan as a part of a development plan.
Okay.
Do you understand that, Mr. Taylor?
Well, yeah.
Come on back up here and.
Like Jose said, it's about 50 feet. So I got videos here, it's more like 150 feet.
Well, listen, I mean,
And
we understand.
that's not the problem. I can buy dye and put it in my lake and make it blue or green, whatever. My problem is if he gets a lot of equipment up there and it gets oil spill, if he can't control the water flow with the sand and all, and that petroleum washes down, my lake is ruined. That's what I'm getting at. I can handle the dirt.
Do you understand that we can't get involved because it's.
Well, I understand that.
Until
Well, my
permits are pulled
my-
for building.
My, is no.
Okay. All right.
Is there anyone else here to speak in opposition on this matter? Mr. President, I don't see anyone else to speak in opposition on the matter. At this time, we'll close that public hearing, and it'd be appropriate for the board to take action and to set any conditions. I'm sorry, this is rezoning. Forget the conditions. Forget the conditions. I got locked in on.
I make a motion to approve the rezoning.
I'll second.
Jay made a motion. Brad seconded the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Ms. Sarah, please get on that runoff.
Gentlemen, if we're prepared to move on, item G will be a public hearing on a rezoning request submitted by 43 Farms LLC. That public hearing is open. 43 Farms LLC is seeking to rezone parcel K1648, K1649 on Highway 43 North from its current zoning configuration, which is A1 to C2. These parcels are combined 4.63 acres. 43 Farms LLC intends for the subject property to be developed as a Penn's restaurant. Direct ingress and egress access to and from the subject property will be via Highway 43 North. There has been one phone call received by the Office of Community Development in opposition on this matter. Appears to be someone with an address on Highway 43 North. Last name is Harris. Okay. So at this time, that public hearing is open. I will ask, is there anyone here in the room to speak in opposition on the 43 Farms LLC rezoning request? Anyone here to speak in opposition on that matter? Okay. All right. Mr. President, I don't see anyone here in the room to speak in opposition on the matter. At this time, we have an application before you. The consideration for the board is, does this appear to be in keeping with the character and quality and condition of the neighborhood as it has developed over time? And does it appear that to the board's discretion in the area of the rezoning request and the subject property that there is a demonstrated need for C2 zoning in this area where it currently is unavailable, so that this particular use could be made available to the community? That is what's before the board.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Steve made a motion, Jay seconded the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carried.
That public hearing is closed. Gentlemen, the next item under my section is item H. I need a motion to acknowledge receipt of a written request from Artisan Pyrotechnics, Inc. to conduct fireworks display in the unincorporated Rankin County area. This will be on June 28, 2025 at approximately 8:45 p.m. And to acknowledge receipt of all the required documentation from Artisan Pyrotechnics, to include documentation reflecting their plan and their insurance coverage. And we're also authorizing Artisan to conduct this fireworks display. I just need a motion to approve that if that is the board's decision.
Where's it located?
That's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah. But can we go to the application and make sure that I tell you the right thing? It should be in your packet. Let's see here. Keith, do you remember?
As long as it's close to Jay's house.
My thought was the Reservoir J. Typically, that's where it's gonna be, where we're gonna see the fireworks display.
I make a motion to approve.
I second. Jay made a motion, I second the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Good job.
We're gonna.
Yeah, thank you, Craig. Let's go
I've
on
been
to
a
I.
little preoccupied. We're gonna ask Ms. Samantha if she doesn't mind to dig back through that application and let's make sure we know where that location is, and we'll get you guys official word on that. Normally, I do a good job on my agenda item
We
to actually
also-
tell you where the dang thing is gonna be held,
We
but my
also
bad.
had a little issues on what district certain stuff was in.
I
Who-
noticed
was that
that.
Mr. Measle?
I
Who
noticed
was
that. No, sir,
at fault?
we're gonna blame the board attorney for
In,
that.
in their
okay.
defense, it was at the end of a sentence, and I think the district number got cut off. And when you see the next one,
Yep.
that has to do with the next line.
That's right. Thank you. Okay, item I, acknowledgement of receipt of a confirmation from the Rankin County School District that there's a standing 16th section lease. I can tell you that that lease has been in place since 2022. And we've been informed by the school district that they have actually held that lease in abeyance and have not required the tenant to pay the lease because the tenant cannot get access to the parcel. It's close to the river, and the river and the flow of water and stormwater prevents access, so the tenant cannot actually utilize the property and hasn't been able to utilize the property for many years.
I mean, is that hunting property?
Yes, sir. This is a hunt and fishing lease. And because of, sir? Yes, sir. Oh, yeah, he closed it, for sure. But because that school district has acknowledged back to us that they have not been collecting lease payments and they do not consider it to be under lease. And so I'm asking the board to authorize the termination and canceling of the ad valorem tax bills that got generated and got sent to the tenant to pay ad valorem tax on. And the school district is acknowledging that that lease needs to be reflected on our side as 16th section property that is still occupied by the school district and therefore exempt from and not subject to ad valorem.
I don't know if I've ever seen hunting woods that's not accessible.
Yeah, they getting in there to hunt.
Yeah.
I mean, it's by boat or waders or whatever.
From my discussion with the attorney for the school district, the access road to this property is approximately 1 mile in length, and that the blocking of the access is at multiple points along that access road. They can't even approach the property.
Okay.
At any rate, the school district has
School board
confirmed.
wants it, so I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Jay made a motion, Steve seconded the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
On this next item, gentlemen, you can see it's about a page and a half long. I am prepared to take the next 30 minutes to read it to you, but my preference would be that you allow me to simply summarize what this is.
Right. Summarize it quickly, please.
I'll do my best. What you have here is an entity that qualifies under Mississippi Code Annotated Section 57-117-1 as a healthcare facility under the Mississippi Healthcare Industry Zone Act that provides for a tax exemption. The applicant is Cooperwood Senior Living LLC, doing business as Cooperwood Senior Living. This agenda item requests that we acknowledge that this applicant made application for qualification under that code section in 2023. The board granted a 1-year tax exemption conditioned on the applicant providing the requisite documentation to support the application. That process took quite some time.
Did you say 1 year? We
Okay.
go from 1 year?
1 year, 2023. And so what that triggered is that in 2024, the property was put back on the tax rolls with no tax exemption. And so the 24 tax year was assessed as if there is no tax exemption. And so the applicant now has come back and has requested, by providing all of the information, has said, we now qualify for the full exemption and we are requesting the full exemption under the statute, and they have provided the documentation. The tax assessor has received the documentation and has provided the requisite details. And so the next step in the process will be for the board to acknowledge that we've gotten everything that we need, and now it's appropriate for the board to act on the request for the exemption, and assuming the board wishes to grant the exemption, then there will be a process to certify that exemption to the Mississippi Development Authority and the state of Mississippi, and then it can be put on the books at the exemption.
I mean, do we have to go back and reimburse them on the 23 or 24?
Not on the 23. The reimbursement would be as to what they paid for the 24 taxes, which was the full assessment with no exemption. If the board grants the exemption, they will be entitled to a refund of what they paid in 24 versus what they would have paid if the exemption had been in place. So they'll get a refund of the overpayment of the 24, and then it'll be on the books at the exemption assessment from this point for the next 8 years. It's a full 10-year exemption, so they would be entitled to 8 more years of a tax exemption under the code section.
This is in the city limits of Flowood?
That is correct. The city of Flowood.
And they have granted it?
Yes, sir. The city of Flowood has granted the exemption, which is one of our, it's not only our, state law requires that as well. And so the city of Flowood has granted the exemption, and now it's before the board to determine whether or not the exemption is appropriate.
I make motion to approve.
Second.
Jay made a motion, Steve seconded the motion. Any further discussion? I have a little further discussion. Since the previous board voted for this, you know, I'm gonna do what they did back in 2023, but just for the record, I would have never voted for this and given somebody free taxes, you know, on a facility that's making money, a private facility. I have some of these facilities and loophole, and I think we have to watch the way we just give out money every time somebody asks for tax exemption on stuff.
We can thank our governor, Bryant, and the legislature for passing that medical area over there.
Well, but y'all did not have to vote on it though. It still went to
Well, we've not turned any
y'all.
of them down that the state has approved.
Well, I think we need to start turning them down.
Let me interject, because I want to read from the code section, so.
Well, there's no need in it. I mean, it's gonna pass, but I'm just letting people know my opinion. I mean, I pay taxes, and I think everybody else should pay taxes. You know, instead of giving out free stuff every time we turn around.
My thing is they missed a 1 year window, and I mean, they shouldn't, it shouldn't take 1 year to get the documentation, but.
Right. But anyway, all right.
So
Let's
there,
vote.
there is no discretion.
Right.
If they qualify and MDA certifies it.
Then why are we voting on it then if they qualify and all that, then what good is it doing for us to vote?
It's interesting, the state legislature says that the board actually gets to act on the request because it is our ad valorem tax. So the state can't just, out of necessity, they can't just say, you don't have to pay Rankin County. They don't get to control that piece of it.
All right.
But the language that they use here is, if it is a qualifying facility within the context of the zone that is authorized, it says they shall qualify for the tax exemption. There's not discretion there.
Right.
And so, to Sid's point, that it doesn't make sense that we're asked to vote on something that the legislature says we don't really have any discretion to act on. But gentlemen, I give you any number of examples where that is the case.
Right.
We get to vote on the school district's budget every year by setting the requisite millage to subscribe their budget, and yet you have no discretion whatsoever to determine what that amount is.
All right, Jay made a motion, Steve seconded the motion. We've already had our discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Item K is authority to revise our general operating guidelines for our volunteer fire departments to clarify the requirements for persons who are nominated to serve on the boards of commissioners for our volunteer fire departments that are also taxing districts, and to set the rotation of terms for boards of commissioners who are appointed for service fire taxing districts. So this board actually appoints boards of commissioners for taxing districts in our volunteer fire departments. They bring those names forward and you approve those names. Most of the time that's handled kind of back of house, and it's not something that we generally bring before you to discuss. What we have noticed over time is that in the past there have been situations where particular fire taxing districts and boards of commissioners, there is a good bit of what appears to be nepotism that happens. And so you'll have fire chiefs that of volunteer fire departments whose wives are serving on the board of commissioners. You have people who are serving on the boards of commissioners who have children that are a part of the operational aspect of the fire department. And so what we're trying to do is to introduce just some language in our general operating guidelines that would give some guidance to the makeup of these boards of commissioners so that we can avoid some of what those appearances that make it difficult for the stations to operate. And so that's all you're doing, is just authorizing the revisions of the GOGs so that we can give clarity on that. This actually comes at a request from a local department that is going now through the process of identifying commissioners for service, and they want to be sure that when they go out into the community and ask, they've got real clear guidance about who are the people that they're looking for. So I just need a motion to authorize.
Let me ask you something, Craig, on this. I mean, it just says the taxing districts.
Yes, sir.
Fire protection districts.
Yes, sir.
I mean, so the other volunteer fire departments won't be included?
They operate under a structure, because they're not a taxing district, that they don't have formal boards of commissioners that are identified in the statutes. They are required to follow whatever Mississippi nonprofit regs may be as it relates to the makeup of a board of directors or board of trustees for a private nonprofit entity that's not a taxing district.
Okay.
And so we don't, Brad, I don't think we need to be speaking on the issue of the makeup of a private entity and how it governs itself.
Okay.
But the taxing districts is different. They get actual tax dollars because there's a millage that's assigned to that taxing district for the purpose of funding their operations. We need to be able to speak into how that is being handled. And so that's the purpose for our GFGs, to address that.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Brad made a motion, Jay seconded the motion. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Gentlemen, some time ago, the board made a decision to provide some level of guidance for what are known as private cemeteries on real property. Your process requires any property owner who is seeking to establish a private cemetery on their own personal private property to meet certain requirements, to fill out an application, to provide a survey that documents exactly where it is located on property. That process comes before the board from time to time. We have an application before us now on the property that's identified here in 111 to establish a private cemetery on that property. They have provided the requisite documentation and information, including a survey that reflects the site. They are now requesting permission, and the board needs to act on this application. You're also authorizing all of the relevant departments of county government, such as the Chancery Clerk's Office, the Tax Assessor, E911, EOC, our mapping department, so that they are provided with a copy of the application and the survey, so that all of our records can reflect where this private cemetery is supposed to be located. So I just need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Brad made a motion, Steve seconded the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Gentlemen, this is further to a discussion that we had at last board meeting. You did not have before you the actual resolution to refer to, so we requested that we reset this discussion for today. This is a discussion about the board's pleasure with respect to what I'll call our regular tax exemption policy. This is being requested. I say it's being requested. This is a discussion that has been ongoing with our Economic Development Authority and representatives of our Economic Development Authority to help us set a pattern in place so that as they are having conversations with new or existing businesses about the possibility of qualifying for tax exemption, they know what they're talking about, and they can give clear, clarified information about how the policy is operating and what are the qualifications for the tax exemption. I will tell you that we're in an unusual period. We do not have permanent leadership in place at this moment at Rankin First. And it may be appropriate for us to further delay this discussion until we have an opportunity to get our new executive director in place, give him a period of time to evaluate.
Is this in place right now?
What we're operating under right now, Sid, is...
Right, these numbers are in place, like the 2.5 million now.
Yes, sir, they are in place.
So I would like to change that to 25 million instead of 2.5 million, so it's already in place when the new guy comes on. And I just don't think 2.5 million is enough. there again, we're offering somebody 2.5 million for free taxes. You know, they bring in 2.5 million business, then we got 5 years to give them free taxes again, which some people like to do.
I don't know, I thought
I
we,
don't-
But I think we
revoked
just,
our current policy.
Yeah, that's why we're having this discussion, Jay. It was just really not clear exactly what our policy is supposed to be. There's been some,
So why do we need a policy? Why can't we just take it on
well,
case by case basis?
they gotta have something to offer when they look us up at, economic development, you know, ranking first, so they can look and see if there's something to offer to come here. You know, I would assume that,
as a quick reminder, we are in the world of economic development, and generally speaking, it's in the region that we occupy here. And you've got counties around us that have a policy, a tax exemption policy that is published, that is adopted, that is in effect, and their communities are able to give certainty to businesses that are coming or businesses that are already here but wish to expand. They're able to give certainty to that. I will tell you that our surrounding communities have policies in place that look a lot like what your policy has been for many years, but may not yet be formal yet. Although it's unclear exactly where we stand. But the policy before you would be reflective of what your competitors in close proximity have established as their tax exemption policy.
I mean, just 2.5 just doesn't sound, I mean, that's a nice big home, cost you almost $2 million.
So what do y'all say if we wait till our new guy comes in June, and then we sit down with him, have discussions, and come up with a number? If we have to have a policy at all.
yeah, I'm good with that, but I just don't want somebody to be stuck on 2.5 million or 5 million. It needs to be worthwhile, in my opinion.
To give an exemption.
Well, your
Right.
opinion counts.
Well, we've waited some period of time now for our new guy to be here. We've waited some period of time. I see no reason not to just delay this until we can have formal conversations that are meaningful. And he may have some personal observations about it that make a huge difference for how you feel about what we're doing. And so I really would relish an opportunity to get him here and let him speak directly on it. He's the one that's gonna have to live with this.
Right.
Okay, so he really needs to speak on it.
Well, this is just for discussion, we don't need.
Yeah, at this point, Steve, it was stood up, I think, as a potential action item, but I just want the record to reflect the board's taking no action on this matter, and we will address it in the future as appropriate.
Okay.
But the only thing, if we leave it with taking no action.
There's not a policy. What I'm going to tell Rankin First is, we are working on the details of a policy, but at the moment, anybody who is inquiring about a tax exemption or tax exemption policy should be told, please wait until we have an opportunity to address what our policy is.
But we are open for business.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I just didn't want somebody to come in on the 2.5 million right now, just like the assisted living we just approved, you know, and take advantage of it. You know, so, okay. All right, Mr. Hicks. He's sporting his new sports coat today. Do like this one time.
Good morning.
There you go.
Item A under my section is approval of payout number 10. This is to Southeastern Pipeline, and it's for the Oak Road Ditch Stabilization Project, which is one of our ARPA projects, in the amount of $122,850 and authority to issue that check.
I make a motion to approve.
I second. Steve made a motion, I second the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Item B is another ARPA project. This is payout number 8 from Thornton Construction, and this is on our Reservoir East project in the amount of $614,793.21 and authority to issue that check.
Tim, how far along are we with this now?
That's a Mike question.
Mike, how far along are we with this process?
They're working on they back out to Sarah Fox, it's done.
then they're gonna restore that road.
I
Make-
told them, give me a heads up when they got close, when they got through the heavy equipment, so we could start doing the paving.
I make a motion to approve.
I second.
Steve made a motion, Brad seconded the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Item C, we're asking the board to acknowledge receipt of our siren bids.
I think I can handle.
How many did we get?
We've received a total of 3 bids. I was hoping for a few more. We did have a lot of interest in it. Our first bid is from Jackson Communications. Is that correct?
And this is,
Jackson Communications, Inc. has submitted a bid, and it appears that they have provided documentation. We're gonna ask you guys to allow us to take all of these under advisement and then come back to you with what the documentation provides for, so that I don't have to go through all of this. I will say this, that the per siren calls for not to exceed 45 sirens as submitted by Jackson Communications is $1,511,250. But further clarification will be needed, but that's what it appears at first blush.
American Signal Corporation.
Yes. The second bid is received is from American Signal Corporation. The not to exceed figure is $1,689,452. $1,689,452.
Is that the first one?
No.
Second.
That's the second.
Jackson Communications is 1.5,
Okay.
or instant change.
Thought it was gonna be, right?
Yeah. They didn't give me
45
Third bid received is from Precision Communications. They quoted a per siren cost of $34,159.20. They quoted for any pole that may have to be installed at a given location at $6,218.19. The not to exceed figure as bid is $1,867,517.61.
That all of them?
Yes, sir. As we said, gentlemen, we would like to be permitted to take these under advisement and for the records to reflect that we are taking them under advisement for a later discussion.
I make a motion for y'all to take these under advisement and then bring us back the details.
I'll second.
Steve made a motion, take it under advisement, Jay second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I just have a question.
Yeah.
Brian, are we replacing all we have, or are we adding some also?
So we're replacing the ones we currently have, and then we have the option to add some additional.
But that 45 is just strictly replacing all we have.
No.
Up to 45.
We got like 30 something.
We have 39.
39.
And we are providing for the possibility, Jay, of about one additional weather siren per supervisor district.
So
that we
the
gave our-
1.5 is 45 sirens?
Yes, sir. The bid is not to exceed 45.
And Brian, will you be able to turn the volume up or down at the at your office?
These might have volume controls either.
All All right, any additional business?
Yes, sir, we do.
We gotta vote on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries.
Mr. Measles has some photographs that I want to call your attention to. This is one of our new developments. Brian, remind me which development this is.
This is, Cedar
Ridge.
Cedar Ridge.
I think so.
It's off Cedar Ridge Boulevard. This is a D.R. Horton property.
How many square feet is that house?
I think it's 1,700.
Under roof.
Under roof.
So what you'll notice about this photo here is that this particular unit has been converted so that it no longer has a garage. So what's happened is that the developer entity, the property owner here, the corporate entity, has converted the garage into a sales office, and they have now occupied it as a sales office, and our understanding is that they are currently occupying it and in essence utilizing it for purposes of marketing the properties in the subdivision development. Well, we don't allow business use of residential property, especially when we don't know that that's what the intended use would be or will be. And so where we stand at the moment is a request to issue a certificate of occupancy, and we need some guidance from the board as to what should we do, because it's clear that this is not in compliance with our land use regulations. It's residential property and it's being utilized as a business property or commercial property. So we just need to have the board address what its position is so that we will have an opportunity then to engage with the property owner to determine what steps are next in order for them to qualify for a certificate of occupancy.
I mean, my thing is, I mean, there was a plat submitted and none of this was ever.
No information.
They went on their own and did this.
That's correct. There's no information provided on the front end, especially at the point in time where they requested a permit for construction. There was no information in the permit.
And the plans that we received didn't even show this.
Yes, sir.
I mean,
They requested a permit for a residential home. And up to basically, the frame and everything was,
Well, they just need to submit a variance or some type of rezoning to run an office, right?
Yes. Well, are there any other residences that have been constructed?
Yeah.
At this point?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
There have been, but this
They're
is the only
using
one
that
we
for a
got.
model home in their office, cause there's several more houses built. All of them look the same, and they're saying there's several more built in there, and they're using it for a show home and their office to sell, and is what they're doing. And probably when they get through, they're gonna open it back up and then sell the house, I would assume, after all the development is done.
We would hope that to be the case.
Right.
And one thought that I had, I just offer it as a thought. We could issue a conditional certificate of occupancy. It makes it very clear that this property has to be converted to a pure residential home with a garage as required by your findings when you approve this development. And that any business use of any kind has to go away. And so that would be one option. I think that the board could simply direct Brian, issue a conditional certificate of occupancy. Might even consider putting a time limit on it before it has to be converted.
I'm thinking they'll get it developed out pretty quick in there, but, I mean, we could do a year or something and.
Yes, sir.
When you spoke under roof, 1,700, all right, when you take out the garage, I'm talking about heated and cooled area, what is it?
Yeah, I don't know exact, I think it's around 1,400 feet, but with the garage, it's around 1,700. So, again.
This was on RMX mix.
Okay.
And they, instead of mobile homes going in there, it's all should be houses.
Okay.
And we just, again, if they sell this one, if
So
they
did you
do
bring it
this
to their
again.
attention that they're operating illegally?
Yes, sir. Well, they called and asked for a certificate of occupancy. when we got out there and we saw this, we wouldn't allow it. They called multiple times, but we are not allowing, I mean, they've heated and cooled the garage. Their permit is no good. They've increased their heating and cooled space, their living area, plus they've added a wall there.
They didn't follow the plans that were submitted to
No,
the
sir.
building department.
They did not follow the plans, and they are occupying the property without a certificate of occupancy.
Well, when y'all went out there, y'all inspected the framing and stuff. I mean,
Yes,
you didn't.
We
I mean,
saw that, but then this came afterwards.
Okay.
So what are our options? I mean,
Well, obviously you can endorse Brian's behavior to this point, which is I'm not issuing a certificate of occupancy to you because this doesn't conform to what you requested in your permit for construction. So you could take the position, Jay, no. Put it back like the permit requested. Make it back into a residential structure. Put the garage back. Take all that out. Do not occupy this as a model home. Do not occupy this as a business.
I don't think they're gonna put all that flooring down just to pull it up, and make it a garage.
They will when they get through. I mean, I don't know who owns it or whatever, but I've just seen other companies and developments, you know, when they get through with their project, you know, but they're again, you know, it's just, but the fact is, are not abiding by the rules that were.
Yes.
Or
They
doing what they
took
were.
liberties with our permitting process that they shouldn't have.
Right.
And it may be a left-hand, right-hand situation that
I mean, I just
explains
wanted,
what
I
happened
want
here.
to convert it to a home at completion.
Yeah, what we see all the time, we see model homes, but they'll use the bedroom as an office. They don't go in and reframe or, you know, change up the garage and add walls like this. This is, I mean, they've got trim work in here. They get cabinets and things added. You know, this is just not what we normally see on a house. They'll just use a room that's open.
If they're going to change it or go back with the garage, is there enough space on that lot to just add a garage? And then there's not enough space on the lot? That would be, to me, the simplest thing.
Yes, sir.
But no, can't do it.
So I'm gonna support our building department, what his recommendations are.
What's your recommendation?
I mean, I recommend that they put it back the way that the permit shows, or they change the permit. I mean, they can come in and reapply if the board wishes that, but what I have, I can't approve.
But if
So
you
they don't have
change
power
the
on it.
permit, then it doesn't fit the guidelines.
That's right, yes.
Because it doesn't have a garage.
This is a residential use, and they're using it as a commercial, or to me, that's an office, which is a commercial use.
Why's DR working here?
Thank you.
They're
Jim,
on
yeah.
Texas by billionaire.
Thank you. My thought is that we allow Brian and maybe myself to work to interface with these guys, the property owner, directly. And let's see if we can arrive at a solution that's acceptable to the board and report back. It's just additional business. We're really only here for a discussion anyway.
Yeah.
We really need to bring y'all a formal recommendation. But before we do that, before we engage, we need a direction from you guys as to what are our parameters, what's acceptable.
Well, what they should have done is, what plans they submitted to the office, they should have followed those plans.
No question. They were in the wrong by not telling us in advance their intention to use this as a model home. If they had said that on the front end, all of this could have been addressed right there in that moment. We probably would have come back to you guys and said, are y'all okay? And here's what it's gonna look like. And here's how it's gonna be used. And here's the amount of time that they're intending to use it. Here's what they're gonna do when they don't need it as an office anymore. All of that information could and should have been provided to us ahead of time. It was not. So before we engage, we just needed some direction from you guys. If y'all are comfortable with us having a conversation and trying to arrive at a solution that we think could be acceptable, fit within what Brian's regulatory authority is, and then bring that back before you at our next opportunity.
I'm good with that.
Okay? All right, that's what we'll do. Gentlemen, I've got a
Hang
couple,
on, I wanna make note, did you see the interest rate they were selling those for?
4.99, I think I
Yeah.
saw.
Oh my gosh, they got
Yeah.
a heck of a bank, or I guess they
Yeah.
are the bank.
Yes. And Jay, that's been pretty consistent across the country as it relates to this particular developer entity. We're seeing more and more in-house financing. It's being handled in-house with some sort of captured lender entities that
Well,
that are
let's
local.
talk about one more thing. What I heard was a lot of these are gonna be rent homes.
Yeah.
Is there a percentage that
Yes.
got to be living?
Yes, so Brad, this board amended its regulations months and months ago, probably a year ago, to address what we call build to rent. And if a developer is coming into our community to effectively construct what are known as build to rent, on the front end, we have specific
That's right.
zones
I got
in which a build to rent subdivision development has to go. And there are a number of regulations that go with that have to be approved on the front end.
I remember.
If you recall. One of those regs is that they have to have on-site property management in the development 24/7. And there is a restriction on the number of units that can be placed in a residential development before it triggers the build to rent. So if more than half of the houses are gonna be held as rental, it's treated as build to rent. And so we've got some pretty tight restrictions on that. To my way of understanding, I've not had any communications back to me that we're getting applications for that, Brad.
Okay.
I'm not seeing it. Y'all aware? We're not being approached by developers with that on the front end. Now, here's where it gets a little interesting, and that is that we have constitutional protections with respect to alienation of private property. And so we have to be careful about the extent of the regulation that we can bring to bear. I think that our current regulations are compliant, that we would not face any real jeopardy of an argument that we are placing an unreasonable restraint on alienation. But as you know, we have to be very careful about this whole idea of what people can do with their property, right? And renting is one of those aspects of property ownership that is recognized, and we have to be aware of that. And so we have to be careful with the extent of our regulation.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Attorney, I have one question. So if we have another nut coming here blowing a whistle, can we immediately discharge them out of this building?
Yes, sir. Your decorum rules that you adopted at the start of this board's term speaks to the issue of disruption. And so I would like to suggest that it's really about enforcing your own decorum rules. We have those rules. We can, again, make them available. In fact, I would suggest, why don't we keep a copy of our decorum rules at your desks so that you can refer to those at any point in time. Those are published out here, I think, right, Sam? So the decorum rules are out there for anybody to see and read through and observe. Now, whether they will abide by them or not is gonna be dependent upon what this board's enforcement mechanism is. Asking them to either refrain from disruption, that's really y'all's purview.
Do we have a need for executive?
Personnel on my side.
Yes, we do.
And have all our judges just showed up here. Good morning.
Personnel and litigation.
They want to speak.
Right now?
Public? Okay.
Want to speak now, Judge?
Well, we're gonna go in executive session.
Yep.
Would you rather be in executive session?
Yeah, it's related to personnel. Now, the judges may actually have a statement that's not necessarily has to be an executive. I'm trying to anticipate. Yeah.
It don't matter to me, I'm not.
Step forward,
shy on that.
Judge.
No, look, let me just say, I know you might get a little nervous when judges start walking in the building, but,
Look, we don't get over here enough to say, to express our appreciation for the county's support of the court system. And I take it for granted, because when I get together with my colleagues from other counties and other judicial districts, and then I hear the stories that they're having to deal with and the things they're having to deal with, it reminds me, that I'm thankful to be in Rankin County. We've got this, and I don't mind telling you, I'll give you a little blip. There's a new staff policy for court personnel, and it requires now, if you're in a district that has multiple counties, you have to get a letter of approval, even if the county doesn't fund the employee one dime. You have to get a letter of approval from all the boards of each county. And so you ought to see some of these judges scrambling, figuring out how they're gonna go from one end of the district to the other. And it just reminded me, I told the board attorney, I said, I am so thankful that we've always had such a strong support of the board. And I don't believe, on behalf of Chancery Court, if Keith's math is correct, I don't believe I'm really asking for anything. So I'm not coming here asking for something, because I think our reorganization of what we're doing, really, it's already been budgeted in fiscal year 25. Now, we will be having discussions for fiscal year 26, but I just wanted to let y'all know that, you know, it's something we end up taking for granted, that until I see other parts of the state, and I go, well, thank goodness I'm back home when I come back home from those conferences. And appreciate the strong support. And on behalf of, I can only speak on behalf of the Chancery Court. I know Judge Odom would echo my sentiments, but I appreciate the county's support of the court system. We've got, in my opinion, the best county, circuit, and Chancery Court in the state of Mississippi. And I haven't been in Alabama, Louisiana, Tennessee, but I would venture to say, as far as efficiency and the relationships and, you know, I think we've got the best probably in the Southeast, if not in the whole country. So, and it's because, in large part, because of the support we have from the states and from the county. So we're just expressing our gratitude and appreciation for that relationship we've had.
Well, thank you. We appreciate y'all.
Thank you, Judge.
Yeah.
So gentlemen, it would be a personnel matter for sure, and a
Well,
litigation matter.
we got one more.
I'll say
I'm
something.
sorry.
I'm gonna have good news for you. I got good news for you.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Let me get my pen ready
You
so
better
I'm
write
right.
this down, write this down.
Okay.
A lot of times y'all make decisions and you don't know what happens after you make that decision. I wanna give you what's happened after you made a decision. Y'all elected, y'all chose to have a dedicated drug tech, at the Mississippi Crime Lab, for Rankin County. Let me tell you what the real world application of that was. 3 years ago, we were looking at 10 to 12 months delay from the crime lab to get a drug screen back. So theoretically, somebody could be sitting back there in the jail, in the Rankin County Jail, that we're paying for on a daily basis, and they'd have to sit there, if they couldn't afford a bond, they'd have to wait 10 or 12 months to find out if it was really a drug and how much it was of a drug, to know what the charge was gonna be so that we could have a disposition of that. The other day, we had from arrest to drug screen, drug lab report in hand, 48 hours. 48 hours. That makes a world of difference, folks, a world of difference to the people of Rankin County, because we can process those folks better, quicker, faster, and get them off Rankin County's dime and onto somebody else's dime in a way more efficient manner. So when Judge Roberts talks about us being efficient, that's a real world thing. And I want to thank y'all for having the foresight to allow us to do that, because that's making a world of difference back there. It's gonna make a world of difference. And we're working on some other things with the municipal judges too that I think are gonna help with some of our traffic back there too. But I just want to thank y'all and to give you an opportunity to know that what you did has made a difference and is making a difference.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you.
I make a motion to discuss the need for executive session.
Second.
Jay made a motion, discuss the need for executive session. Steve, second that motion. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Litigation, personnel, acquisition of property.
I make a motion for executive session for those reasons.
Jay made a motion. Steve seconded the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Going into executive